Hello and many thanks for joining the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm your regular host, your daily Ozubakum. Let us remind you that we have 115 days to the 2019 general election in Nigeria. As issues about the polls continue to unfold, we will always be here to help you dissect them. Today on the program, President Muhammadu Buhari directs Oshiomhole to fix APC's crisis before next NEC meeting. And later on the show, SARS Reform Committee begins sitting, gets 27 complaints. I'll be hanging out with Olayinka Oyegbile and Emeka Madunagu. Hopefully in the course of the show, Babajide Kolade Otitoju will join us. So if you're ready, let this hangout start now. Many thanks for joining us. Major happenings in Nigeria's ruling party, the All Progressive Congress, APC, have been a mix of good, the bad, and the ugly as gladiators struggle to assert their influence. The clashes of interest led to intractable crisis, which culminated to the party's failure to have candidates in Zamfara State in the 2019 election. Now, there is high-powered plot by governors to have forced a meeting of the party's National Executive Committee, that's NEC, to address issues of arbitrariness raised against the national chairman. But President Muhammadu Buhari has directed the man in the eye of the political storm, Adams Aliyu Oshiomhole, to clean the mess before the next APC NEC meeting. But like we told you in Greek mythology, where will Oshiomhole get the magic to clean the Orgian stable? Gentlemen, Oshiomhole is embattled. APC is in the eye of the storm, and we said because it's 4 months to the election, and there are daggers here, there, and looking at the situation in Zamfara State, looking at the situation in Imo State, looking at the River State, looking at the situation even in Ogun State. And Ogun State, the governor was said to have accused the national leader, Aremu Segun Oshoba, and Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You know, it was quoted in the papers today of, complicity in the politics of what happened by the choice of Dapo Abiodun at the expense of Triple. Now, what is happening between Oshiomhole and these governors? What went wrong? Let me start from Yinka.
Well, what is happening now to APC, if we cast our mind back, was the same thing that happened to PDP 2014-2015.
When they were in power.
Exactly. Now, what I would like to call leprosy of power is what has inflicted the APC now. And that is, when you are in power, okay, while you are outside power, you have so many ideas of how to run a government, how to run things, and how to make things happen. But when you are confronted with the power, you begin to ask yourself, what is happening? And that is why one American president said that the best thing to do is to give power to someone who knows what to do with power, even before he got there. I want to believe very strongly, and I say it without fear of contradiction, that the APC, perhaps in 2015, was just gambling. They didn't believe that they were going to win. Now they've won. 3.5 years down the road, there's altercation here and there. And it baffles me that this is everything that happened in PDP. What they should have learned, they have not been able to learn. And now the president is saying the chairman of the party should go and solve the problem. The chairman of the party cannot solve the problem because he is the center of the problem. No, he may not be the cause, but he is the one that left is blaming, right is blaming. For instance, the Ogun State governor blamed the cabal in Abuja and Lagos.
Who are those
Who is the cabal in Abuja? Who is the cabal in Lagos?
APC members.
The cabal in Abuja, by the Ogun State governor's reckoning, I hope I'm correct, is led by the chairman of the party. So, if the president is not asking the chairman of the party, who has been accused...
You won't have asked anybody, because the box stops on the table of this chairman. He's the one to submit this
now
link
wait.
to INEC.
In the real sense of the word, who is the leader of the party? Who is the de facto and de jure leader of the APC? Is it not the president?
The president.
So, if the chairman has been accused...
But the president apparently is not, he doesn't want to meddle into intra-party crisis.
No, forget about that.
You know, how the primaries was conducted.
The president
and
cannot behave like the Chichidodo bird. We all remember that. They brought that feast on maggots, but says he does not like physics. Now,
a big irony.
You are the president of the nation, and your party is in crisis. The chairman is the one that is being accused of part of those fomenting the trouble in the party. And you now ask him, he is not an unconcerned individual. He's an interested party in it. Interested party, not that I'm not saying he's supporting one faction or one...
You don't have evidence of that.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is an interested party is he has been accused of being the one. So is it the governor of Ogun State that you ask to go and sort the problem out with Oshiomhole that will be... when he has already... Or when he was talking of a cabal in Abuja, was he talking of the president? No, he was talking of the party apparatus. So you can't ask the party chairman to be the one to sit down with the governor of Ogun State to resolve the issue. It's the president that will resolve it.
How will you finger Oshiomhole as the problem in APC right now? Because I know a lot of people, they are quick to attack Adams Oshiomhole, being somebody that is very, very vocal and everything. And it's already made this thing that a lot of people, they don't like what he's saying, or especially people that are sympathetic to the opposition party. They're very, very, you know, quick to condemn Adams Oshiomhole. So will you accuse Oshiomhole of complicity in the intra-party crisis of APC?
No, who else will we expect to carry the buck? It stops at the table of the national chairman, because that's why he was elected. If you remember, some time ago when we talked about how Oshiomhole might run the APC, you know, we took a quote from what he said, that he will not do anybody's bidding, that he will not be anybody's lackey. But what we see today...
So is there evidence now, right now, that he's doing the bidding of some people?
Yeah, well, when you look at the outcome of the primaries in some states, it appeared that in some states, certain interests got away with what they wanted, while in some states...
Do you want to give me a clearer picture?
Oh, of course. Well, if you look at in Imo State, for instance, look at in Lagos, for instance, look at in Kaduna, for instance, you know, you saw that...
Are you privy to any name from Imo State?
No, look at the governor.
Okay.
Rochas Okorocha.
Did he have his way?
Of course, his son-in-law, as a governorship candidate, which made some bigwigs of the party, like Ararume,
I thought the last time I checked it was Opus Odumad.
No.
So what is the current situation?
That is the question.
What is the current situation?
Okay,
look at
Zamfara. So
look at Zamfara. Look at Zamfara, for instance. Look at Zamfara. With all the crisis, you find out that the party couldn't present candidates, according to INEC. But Oshiomhole was telling INEC that they agreed, you know, they agreed on a list of candidates by consensus. But that consensus list did not get to INEC within the stipulated time. So what I'm talking about is that if you have all this crisis, then it means that the national chairman has not done his job very well, because he ought to have prepared for the storm he has found himself in right now. Why? Initially, the governors wanted Oyegun, Chief John Oyegun, to remain as the party chairman. Yes, but along the line, some other interests pushed Oshiomhole on board. At the point, they wanted Ebre, Clement Ebre, but later they moved for Oshiomhole. And then everything changed. They moved, even with all the intense maneuvering and everything. Oshiomhole came in. Now, Oshiomhole ought to have known that the party was moving from being led by a lethargic and, let me say, will I say cautious national chairman to somebody like him who is hyperactive, and he needed to be careful. Because let me tell you, since 2003, we know what happened in 2003. What the role that governors played, James Ibori and others played, you know, that almost made Obasanjo not to get a second term. It's very clear. The story is clear. So since then, governors have retained that power in the political setup of Nigeria. So anybody coming on board as national chairman of PDP or national chairman of APC, as presently constituted, must bear that in mind, that how do I handle these governors who have executive power and want to get away with as much as they can. Now, if you remember, when we discussed this matter, I was asking, whose interest is Oshiomhole then going to pursue? Because if he says it's not going to be anybody's lucky, but there are disparate interests. Okay, today you have a crisis. You have a major crisis. One, the PDP, NPDP has left the APC. That's a crisis. You lost major members. Forget about what some people like the president and others were saying, that it doesn't matter. You can't lose such heavyweights and say it doesn't matter. They've left. Now you have people, you have somebody like Shehu Sani, he has left. You have other disgruntled members. The other day, the president was trying to placate those who couldn't get tickets in the House of Reps. Then Oshiomhole also busied himself so much with the removal of Saraki. Busy, kept holding press conferences as if the party didn't have other things. And don't forget that those press conferences ran into the time INEC was expecting parties to conduct their primary. So he was so occupied with other things. Now, he ought to have seen the storm gathering. Because, for instance, early in the day, Rochas Okorocha made it clear that he wanted his son to succeed him. So anybody ought to have seen that this was going to be a major flashpoint, and that such a thing was going to be replicated in all the states. So he should have started, well, you know, before he became chairman, he met with Saraki and some other key interests and tried to, to put them together. He should have continued that lobbying, but I think he got to a point where maybe he got carried away by what he thought he had, the powers he thought he had as national chairman. If you remember the altercation he had with Ngige, even the way he addressed Ngige, the Minister of Labor, and people told him that, listen, this man is a former governor like yourself. You don't talk to him as if he's one mere personal assistant. You have to give him respect. And he's a minister, he's a serving minister. And then even in his remarks, he appeared to throw a jibe at the president, as if to say the president was not really supervising members of his cabinet well. So Oshiomhole got carried away by these things. And now look at all these crises that have enveloped the party. So what he needs to do right now is that he has to go back to those same governors to sort out these things. Now, how is he going to do it?
Now,
the question I think we should ask ourselves is, how did we get here? We are all living witnesses. We are old enough in the Second Republic to know some of these things. Will the chairman of NPN... okay. Will the chairman...
We are senior journalists.
Will the chairman of NPN then...
Or
the chairman of UPN...
Yes, I was a young man that time.
Will the chairman of any of those parties say anything and a governor will contradict? I mean,
that's my point.
This is what Oshiomhole is trying to bring
that in. Party supremacy.
As we said about 2 weeks ago, he might be a little bit hyperactive, but I think, for me, the man is on the right track. All we just need is for him to have the support of some other people. And he said he has about 15 or so governors out of 20. How many do they have supporting him? And I think these are things that, because if care is not taken, if the governors have their way,
he will be out.
Just some time ago, they said the governors are like emperors in their states.
Oh, sure.
They will be more than emperors if they have their way in this case. So the president must use his position as the leader of the party and...
Because don't you think it's too early for some people to be looking for the exit door for Adams?
It is too early. How many months?
They just did their convention.
How many months? How many months ago?
So, and it's 4 months to the election. Don't you think that's might cause instability?
How long did it take them to push Bamanga Tuko out? Ogbulafo. How long did it take?
I think it was some months to the election to bring...
I mean, Ogbulafo. When Ogbulafo was kicked out, remember?
Bamanga Tuko, I think it was very close to the election when they wanted to go and bring Adamu Mwansu. Yes, it was close to the election that time.
How long did it take before they pushed Ogbulafo out?
See, because that one happened...
I have my first caller. Mukhtar is calling from Kano State. Thank you for joining us, Mukhtar.
Yes.
Yes.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Let me make some contribution to what you are discussing now.
Please do. Feel free.
You see, one thing is that to be successful in life is not enough. But money...
Please try and call back. We'll take more callers. So, before Mukhtar called.
Now, with what... Because Ogbulafo was pushed out, fine, or in a few months, does not mean it should repeat itself this time around.
I'm not saying so, but politicians,
you
the
see,
more things change, the more they remain the same with Nigerian politicians.
no, but you see, that is why we say that those who don't learn from history
Oh, sure.
will repeat
Make
it
the same
and will
mistakes.
continue. If the APC allows this to happen, the fate that befell PDP might befall them. I mean, you don't keep changing a chairman as if you are changing your underwear. I mean, the man has not even settled down. He has not been able, they have not even allowed him to give us the vision of the party he has.
Yinka, let me quickly take this break. We'll take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout. We'll be right back after this time out. Please don't go away. It's your groundbreaking program of the year. That is Journalist Hangout. We're reaching you live from Lagos, Nigeria. And we are looking at the intra-party crisis within the All Progressive Congress. The Metro in the house has joined us. Papa Jide Kolade Otoju.
Thank you so much. Good evening, viewers.
Jide, yesterday we started this series on Oshomole, and yesterday, the man from Ogun State, he said he's not comfortable with the silence of the likes of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Ibikunle Segun Oshoba on the splites, Akinlade, that a result was doctored in Lagos, and he accused Oshomole and co of connivance. Now, we spotted it out now that I know the governor of Zamfara state is up in arms against Oshomole, and Ibikunle Amosu too has drawn the battle line. From what I even read today, I learned that they are rallying around some of their colleagues, to be able to, get opposition, formidable opposition against Adams Oshomole. Will these people, would they be able to carry out their threats? How formidable are the governors? It's just less than 6 months to Oshomole ascending into office and less than 4 months to the next election. Would they say because of what is happening in their states and they get Oshomole out of office?
Well, if you bear in mind the incontrovertible fact that Nigerian governors are a greedy lot, then you can understand why some of them are extremely bitter that they've not had their way. You have an Amosun who was prepared to decide singularly decide the fate of his state.
House of Assembly.
He was going to draw up.
He has drawn it up, not you.
Put only people that he wants. And what the NWC resolved, the decision of the NWC at that time was that if you said you want consensus, then you must show that you indeed were able to achieve unanimity. Where some individuals say, no, we do not agree, then you must do direct primaries. Oshomole and his people came up with that idea because they knew that all of these governors saying, oh, this is what we want, this is the idea that we want, this is the way we want to do it, this is the format that we want, were only speaking for themselves. At the end of the day, they will not be able to rally the people behind their preferred format for choosing candidates in their states. And in no time, we saw that happen, that even a commissioner in Ogun State disobeyed his boss and said, no, I will contest. We can't have a situation in which an individual will just say, this is all I want, it is me or nobody.
Me alone.
That I'll be one who will choose all the people who go to the Senate. You will now be striking out people's names, yet you want to put your own name. So, the governor of Ogun State should not be trashing around like a child whose candy has been taken away. He has to remember that he is a role model to other people. So he must demonstrate how a role model behaves as a party man. Because when anytime things don't go your way, all you are thinking about is to undermine your party, is to abuse leaders in your party. So you are not sending the right message. You are not sending the right message to young politicians. They are coming behind you. They can see the kind of example that you are laying. I mean, you can't always have your way. In any democratic setting, if a political leader always has his way, then something is wrong.
Yeah.
If a governor always has his way, then something is wrong.
It's not democratic enough.
Then it's not democratic. Why are we deceiving ourselves? We should just call it a military regime. So you must get people to support your cause. This is what I want, gentlemen, this is what I want. I need you to support me. I think this will work. That should be the language.
Especially if this thing is an intra-party thing.
Yes. Not trying to force. I mean, politics is an inclusive sport. The moment you want to do it alone, you are going to run into problems. I don't know how many times Governor Mosun will go to Aso Rock. You can't turn Aso Rock to your second home now.
Everybody is talking about
our bridge,
the
bridge in Akute, you have not finished it. Busy yourself, finish strongly, concentrate on all of those places, those projects. Because some of us have reasons to complain. I was telling one of our friends from Abeokuta today, I said, the speed with which they constructed bridges in Abeokuta, if for local government, they didn't construct bridges with the same speed. Because we have a situation in which a bridge is taking 7 years to construct. That should bother the governor.
Even Mowe of Father Road is not completed.
And people are being subjected to pains
Mowe of Father
every
Road
day,
is not being completed.
driving through that road.
What sort of a governor is that?
So the thing is, leave this thing. You cannot have your way all the time. And don't work against your party. It's wrong. Don't be the modern day Olusola Saraki of Kwara, whereby every time that something doesn't go his way, he will tell his supporters to go and vote for another party. No! Stop, don't do that. So this is the situation that we have. The governors who want to chase Oshomole away, it's all because they've not been able to have their way.
Yeah.
They've had their way a little bit, but not totally have their way. It's not enough to now say that you want to remove the man. No. Oshomole has only tried to return power to the ordinary party man. That's why he came up with the idea of direct primaries. Let the people, the ordinary party members, have a feeling that this party belongs to them, as against governors just deciding and imposing people on the rest of us. You want to kill yourself, you want to impose your own preferred candidate on people, yet you do not have any guarantee that immediately this person becomes governor, he will not quarrel against you.
Yeah.
He will quarrel with you, I mean. He will quarrel with you. It happens all the time. But they still won't learn a lesson. They will still want to put their own boy there, the boy who will suddenly become a man as soon as he becomes governor. So we don't even need all of this. We don't need all of this. APC, when we were warning that APC should put his house in order, some of them, they will be reminding me that, look, PDP too has issues. PDP too has issues. What is my own with the issues that PDP has? I am advising you to put your house in order. Don't tell me that PDP...
Right now, PDP is even calm.
And
PDP is calm right now.
PDP organized their convention and it was peaceful.
Almost impeccable.
It was
At a time when APC was struggling to conduct peaceful primaries, they had that.
Quiet
And today, more and more people are joining the PDP. It's a fact. It's a fact. Today, APC must realize, if they are watching me, they must realize that the election will not be as easy as they thought. It won't be as easy. No. Because you have a man who has emerged from the PDP who has considerable means. He has money to spend.
And he has supporters.
And he has been contesting for long, so he still has support base. Let me tell you, about 35% of some of the people who refuse to vote for the APC in Osun State refuse to vote because of internal problems in the party.
Yes.
A lot of them didn't want to vote for the PDP because they did not like the PDP. So they felt, oh, why don't we go to SDP? Why don't we go to ADP? Why don't we go to ADC? So this is why the next election is potentially very crucial.
Yeah.
So and they must not take things lying low.
Okay, let's take this commercial break. When we come back, we'll discuss more. We're still on Journalist Hangout. We'll be right back after this moment. Welcome back. The All Progressive Congress in Zamfara State, they might not. I was told that there's a window till the 2nd of November, but I don't know. I don't know how possible that would be. But as at now, with INEC, they don't have candidates. We have another situation in River States. The Supreme Court spoke, although both parties are claiming victory, but they've nullified that Congress that brought the executive into office. In the midst of all this, do you see the APC, scaling through? Because there's so much distraction.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that if you go through what the Supreme Court said yesterday about the crisis in Rivers, you see that the party went against its own rules and now tried to impose the results of impunity on its members. It's a major indictment. What it means is that you are a house divided against yourself, and you cannot stand that. You must learn to obey your own rules. If you set rules, you must obey them.
Yes.
You cannot move the goalpost when the match has started. So the point is this: can APC scale through? It's difficult because, like Jide said, what happened in Osun State is a clear pointer to what is very likely to happen in 2019. A lot of people are disgruntled. Almost half, about 67 senators or so, couldn't get tickets. Many of them from APC couldn't get tickets to come back.
67.
Not because they don't want to.
Major supporters of President Muhammadu Buhari in the Senate couldn't come back. They were flawed. Look at Shehu Sani, disgraced thoroughly. Now, how do you expect such people to rally their supporters? Their supporters are angry.
After the promise
Then look at, in Adamawa State, look at the First Lady, the wife of the president. You saw what she tweeted. Very angry response to what happened, accusing Oshomole directly of impunity. That is one part. Then you have governors.
No, I think the woman's complaint was that if you knew that you've given people automatic tickets, why did you allow people to pay such hefty sums?
That's the
point.
I'm anchoring on that. What I'm saying is that you have different. You have people are so
now
angry.
declaring
People are
12.6 billion naira.
So at the end of on the day of the election, they will now see that they are not on the ballot.
That's what I'm saying.
You collected money from them.
All these people have
These things
supporters.
make people angry.
All these people have support, and they are angry for different reasons.
And
even the
it should
governors,
have been made abundantly clear.
even the governors who are emperors, we are giving the assurance, don't worry, we'll take care of your interests. Only for them to be thrown thrown under the bus. So when you have this crisis, how are you now going to ensure loyalty, that you can get the loyalty of people today? You're talking about politics.
Election day.
This is about politics. And between now and the elections, people will begin to think of how they will survive politically.
I've been hearing of movements.
Oh, definitely.
Yes, people have spent a lot of money on primaries.
There will be.
And mark you, I've said this a number of times on this program, that politics is the biggest and most lucrative business in Nigeria.
Okay, let me pick Yakub from Lagos call. Thank you for joining us, Yakub.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good evening.
Yes, good evening, Yakub.
And then good evening, Babajide and the rest of the team.
Good evening.
For me, I thank God that Oshe Omole come. I didn't think that Oshe Omole has never become a chairman of the APC as a national. I think all these governors, emperor, with a small letter G, according to what Babajide normally said in that studio, they could have been had their way. Because the former chairman club is giving them free hand to do whatever they like. Now, Babajide mentioned something earlier. Go to it for local government, the most biggest local government in Ogun State. Nothing has ever happened in that very particular local government. Look at it. Shehu Sani issue that the last the speaker said. Shehu Sani, the APC chairman promised this guy automatic ticket because he stayed with the party when the party needs them most. What the governor of the Kaduna State really do, he made sure that the guys leave the party. And then some of them, I didn't think the Kaduna government did not have his way. They could have called for the head of the Oshe Omole today.
Yes.
But for me, I stay with Oshe Omole. Go ahead and make sure that they
Thank you, Yakub. That's another angle to it.
Well, we had that. Oshe Omole has 3 houses in
Kaduna.
In Kaduna, oh, really?
So, Governor's Road, Narai, and Barnawa.
So yeah,
that would have been demolished.
One of those houses. The thing is, Erufai is a quantity surveyor. He knows about land matters. So where houses are not supposed to be planted, he knows everywhere. So if you offend
He
him,
had the first class.
remember Abdul Kadri. Abdul Kadri, he told Abdul Kadri Abdul Kadri is his leader as vice chairman Northwest. Abdul Kadri is Erufai's leader. Erufai has gone into record and infamy as well as a man who demolished the home of his political leader, because that's the highest political position in the Northwest, within the APC.
Yeah.
And when they demolish the home of your political boss, he's the only one capable of doing that. So even Oshe Omole knows that he has to be careful, because one of those 3 houses, Erufai could have discovered the one that has contravened the
environmental
town planning, urban and regional planning.
Yeah, of course.
Before you know it, you will roll.
Not according to the laws of the state, but according to Erufai's own laws.
He demolished
that.
He demolished Abdul Kadri. Abdul Kadri won election again as vice chairman.
Not
against Erufai's efforts, because Erufai's candidates were roundly defeated in the convention, but Abdul Kadri came back. So I know Abdul Kadri and Shehu Sani are his enemies.
Yeah.
That's the way he sees them. And the whole thing, the crisis at that time, because Abdul Kadri supported the immediate past chairman of the party, because he felt that was the authentic chairman. And that's,
Oh, yeah.
no, in Kaduna.
Okay,
Okay,
the Kaduna
And that's
State-
not El-Rufai's choice. That's how their quarrels began. No? Even the governor of Katsina tried to intervene, but he didn't forgive Abdul Kadri. The next thing we saw, Abdul Kadri's house was demolished. Meanwhile, houses surrounding it were left alone. So how do you justify that? Because it couldn't have been that house alone that contravened
The houses,
you know?
the
So
law.
Shomole has behaved sensibly by letting him have his way with the senator with the bushy hair. Otherwise, maybe by now one of those Shomole's houses will have been history.
All this action might count against APC because I was told that Shehu Sani is somehow popular in Kaduna Central.
It's very, very popular.
Among the...
But as we know, governors are emperors in their areas. So the governor might this time have to use his power to make sure that Shehu Sani does not win. That is what I suspect. He will use every ounce of his breath to see that this man does not win.
Well,
And the man also will try to see that he wins, so that he can rub it in his face that.
it will be a tough
So
contest.
it will be a very, very tough battle. And
Where Shehu Sani
honestly,
likely to go?
I don't envy the electorate in that Kaduna Central, because when it's going to happen, only God knows what will happen.
All we want is a free and fair contest.
Exactly.
Why did you
But
think- Why did you think Oshomole wasn't able to guarantee the ticket of these senators? Because I felt that leading like El-Rufai.
No, it's the pressure from these people. It's the pressure. Look, and another thing he will ask himself, if you let Shehu Sani become the candidate of the party, the governor will work against him. The governor's supporters will work against him.
Yes.
So Ojomole will then need to take a decision that between Ubasani and Shehu Sani, which of the two is the best in the circumstances that he has found himself? Which one should he
Allowed to
invest his
Yeah.
support in this case? Because if the governor goes against Shehu Sani and his supporters go against Shehu Sani from his own party, already you are looking at substantial
Votes.
protest votes against the choice of Shehu Sani. So he must have told himself that, look, with the governor and the resources that he's got and his determination to not forgive, is it not better I let him have his way?
Yeah.
If he has his way, maybe the party stands a good chance of winning than bringing someone that the governor will use all the resources at his disposal to ensure that it doesn't come back. Someone who has been swearing against Shehu Sani all over the place. There's no way. He would rather die than have Shehu Sani go to Senate.
Definitely.
It's that bad.
All right, so let's move on. It has been a winding and tortuous journey to reforming one of Nigeria's most notorious organizations. Just mark that word. The Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SAS, a unit of the police. It is cheering news of sorts as the presidential panel on the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SAS, reforms has begun sitting. The SAS Reform Committee for the North Central Zone, which began deliberation in Abuja on Monday, received 27 complaints. This indicates that the people can begin to assume that the duty to police the police. But will efforts be worth the while at the end of these deliberations? Emeka, would this not just amount to another recommendation, paperwork that will gather dust at the end of the day?
The entire police needs to be reformed.
But
The entire Nigerian police needs to be
it's
reformed.
so critical for this special anti-robbery squad.
Yes,
Because
of course, yes, because the squad at a point left his core mandate and got involved
Special
in
anti-robbery
issues,
squad.
in issues that had nothing to do with you know.
Running after Yahoo boys.
Yes, and all of those things. Getting involved in civil disputes, you know, people could hire them to go and
Civil cases.
harass their, you know, their people with whom they had issues. And we know that even their core mandate is so difficult. It's really difficult. Fighting robbery is not a joke. So, I mean, for those of them in that squad, it's a very difficult task. So, pulling them away to other things, it's really unfortunate. The squad is a key component of the police. And definitely, the squad ought to be kept within its core mandate so that the society will be safe at all times. But if you allow them to continue to get involved in issues outside their core mandate, what do you expect? You begin to see what you can see now. You had the NSAS, you had different kinds of protests. Why? Because people felt that extrajudicial killings, you know, allegedly linked to policemen attached to SARS, that these things ought to be investigated. You're talking about 27 complaints in the North Central.
Yes. And
By
I'm
the
telling
time
you
they
that
get,
this is so
by the
minimal.
time they get to
27 is so
by the time they get to the Southwest, Southeast, South, then you will see tons of complaints. I don't know when this committee will be able to finish its job.
I'm sure this might be just for Monday alone. I'm sure today is Tuesday. I'm sure if they still keep receiving this complaint.
So that's why I said the entire Nigeria police force needs to be reformed. You know, policemen should be made to deal with policing. You know, but today you see policemen being dragged into duties that should not ordinarily be theirs, as escorts,
honestly.
as handbag carriers, and all those things. This is the core security agency in the country. So definitely, whatever reforms they're talking about should be holistic. The entire police force, in terms of welfare package, in terms of policing, everything needs to be looked at.
I know this is beyond us, but I went for an event last week, but the number of policemen escorting VIPs, accompanying VIPs, and I saw it, and the tents that we, actually sat, I could count that we had more guns, police security, than the people that came for that particular occasion. And I looked at it and I said, what is this? Even you see somebody that that person is not qualified in any way, that person has a police escort. And the former IG, or is this same IG? He tried his best. He wanted to.
Every IG has tried,
to withdraw them, but I think there's something so difficult about carrying this thing out.
Is the power, because in Nigeria, everyone has his own influence. As Fela would say, everybody gets in power anywhere. Now, the SARS has been so abused. We know about the Navy's SEAL in the US. Everyone knows this is what their core duty is. But in Nigeria, even if you set up something like that, it will be abused. I remember sometime last year, or was it early this year, the NDLEA, the man that funded NDLEA, I've forgotten his name, he's a retired...
Bamai.
No. He's from Borno State. I've forgotten his name. Okay. He gave an interview to The Nation. And what he said was that the ideal of the NDLEA was specially to deal with robbery. It is not a case of
robbery with drugs.
No, I mean, he was the one that funded NDLEA before, he was the one that funded SARS before NDLEA.
Okay.
Before he went to, I've forgotten his name now, he's from Borno State. Now, what he said was that the idea behind SARS is clearly robbery.
That's a special anti-robbery squad.
Anti-robbery squad. But the whole thing degenerated to a situation where you have a quarrel with your neighbor, you snatch your girlfriend, you have a friend in SARS, you go and report, and they come and arrest him. A young man is going on the street carrying bag with laptop. It became a crime. How can, in this modern world of today, is there any business that is done without a laptop? You carry laptop, a policeman sees you, you become a suspect. Yahoo boys. Is Yahoo armed robbery?
They check your phone records, check your last alarms, check everything.
So until, as Emeka said, until the police force is finally reformed, and we saw it at the police college in Kenya.
The man you want to remember is Fulani Kwajafa.
Kwajafa, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Oh, yes, I remember, yes.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Yes, Fulani Kwajafa.
If you...
Yes. I wasn't too sure.
Where do we have this training? A TV station some time ago did an expose on the police college in Ikeja, yeah. Right? Just sharing the same fence with the police headquarters in Lagos. We saw the way they are the way they are fed. So how will anyone trained under such a situation not be merciless? I remember there was one NUJ event some years back when we were still young reporters. The then police commissioner in Lagos, after all the lecture, he asked that we should all turn off our recorders and said, I'm talking to you now as a father to a son. That, what do you think? A policeman that has been standing in the sun since morning, he sees you, a young man, driving a flashy car. He talks to you, and you
answer aggressively.
The next thing is he will get annoyed and feel that. So, and he said that, look, he agrees that some of the things we complained about are they are right, but there's no way they can help it unless the training
rounding off
system
on
changes.
this thing, and when you want to look at these reforms,
yes.
The president the presidency at a point in time intervened, and Nigerians are hoping that we get this SARS reforms right, yes, because it's critical. Because if a time ago they were talking about them being in charge of even kidnappers, also going after kidnappers and everything. I think, yes, that can be extended, that apart from going after robbers and kidnappers, put it together.
Yes.
But how do we stop them from these illegal activities?
No, it's going to be difficult to stop them. Yes, the IG has taken some steps. He has said that all SARS units nationwide will be collapsing to the federal SARS. He has banned stop and search operations, but they still do stop and search. I still see them do stop and search
all over the country. All over the country.
These policemen have refused to listen to their organ now. They refuse to listen to the IG. They still do stop and search. Everything that they've been told not to do, they still do. They still check people's phones. They've been told not to check people's phones. But they still check. They will, if they see a young man, they will collect your phone and start scrolling. What's your business with someone's phone? It means you are not busy. If you must busy yourself with your core mandate, there is no way you will have time to be checking a young man's phone. People must not carry a bag on their backs. Once you see them wearing, carrying this backpack, you assume that they are Yahoo. And then you start embarrassing them.
Or once they
if they don't cooperate, if they want to show that they are aware of their rights, you start beating them mercilessly. There is no reform of SARS that can happen without proper training of the police. Nigerian policemen lack proper training. So, simultaneously with the reform of SARS, there should be a holistic approach to training and retraining the police and making the Nigerian police a true 21st century police. Let them go to even some of the African countries, Botswana, Rwanda, and the rest, and see what policing is about. Policing is not simply carrying an AK-47 or AK-49 and harassing people and threatening people, making people fear you. No, that's not policing. Policing is not hijacking a woman on the road and forcing her to the ATM to go and take money for you. No, that's not policing. And this is one of the most despicable things that these SARS guys are guilty of. They catch you, they take you to the ATM, they force you to withdraw money, and then they take.
One was
cases.
even caught transferring money.
No, they
somebody
force
transferred money
they force
into
you
the policeman's
sometimes.
account.
Yes, they force
Aye.
you. You know, how can a policeman be so dumb? If you force someone to transfer money,
It's just
the evidence, you've left the evidence.
Oh, yes.
You've left the evidence for that person to use against you. You see, if you go, they are now saying that there will be a human rights desk. You know, that the federal SARS, there will be human rights desk. Where complaints could be entertained and all that. We don't even want complaints. Let policemen deal with their core mandate. It's been said now that they should not do stop and search, so they should focus on armed robbery and kidnapping. That's the duty. But even sometimes tell me, they've also told them that they should be properly dressed with their identification tags.
Yes.
In fact, that's the worst aspect.
They are not still complying with that. You still see
inside down for
you still see a
them,
SARS operative, even sometimes in flip-flops.
Yes.
Bedroom slippers.
Yes.
You see them
lot of them.
sometimes wearing native attires. And then you ask yourself that, is this an armed robber? Because how do you now differentiate between an armed robber and a policeman when he's not properly dressed? So me, I don't know where they got these ideas from, of dressing shabbily, of dressing like people who are outside of the force. In which country did they see people dress just anyhow and carry guns and call themselves policemen? There's a lot of work. But if the current IG wants to give himself immortality, if he wants Nigerians to remember him, it is this reform of SARS that he has to take seriously. Because SARS has damaged the reputation of the police by their blatant human rights abuses and extortion, criminal extortion. So he has to work hard to fix the SARS. If he can do that, if that's the only thing that he can do successfully, we will credit him for it. We'll be grateful.
Yes.
I want to thank you, Emeka Madunago.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for rescuing us.
viewers.
Thank you. We started together, and you can. Thank you. Babaji cannot be here every time, but then thank you for still making time out of your busy schedule today to still make be part of the program. I know you're extremely busy this day, and that's it on Journalist Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program, and also watch Journalist Hangout on our other platforms showing on the screen. We're also on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Zubafon. See you tomorrow, and God bless Nigeria.